is probably very loud in that microphone. You're probably going to distract people. Okay, I'm nursing my cat like a baby because every time I sit down, she just wants to jump on my lap. Can you hear her in the microphone? Hello, sweetie. Okay, this is Penny, in case I've never said her name, because she pops into my videos when I'm at home. Look, she's got the microphone under here, trying to hide it, and now they can probably hear you. Okay, speaking of holding my cat in this position like a baby, I wanted to come in here and let everybody know that officially I am a grandma. And instead of the baby cat, I have been holding a beautiful baby granddaughter. Oh, hold on. On Sunday the 13th of July, I welcomed my baby granddaughter. Her name is Hazel Lynette. My mum's name is Lynette. And Hazel was born at 6:04 p.m. and she was 7 pound 8 and 50 centimeters long, and she is absolutely gorgeous. I'll put a couple of pictures up here. Having a granddaughter on my actual birthday, my 49th birthday, I don't think there's ever going to be a present that's going to top that, is there? So I was lucky enough to be in the birth and watch Hazel being born. I'll be forever grateful for Harry and Kayla for allowing me to be in there and watch the birth. It's not the first birth I've ever seen. I did watch my mum give birth when I was 19 years old, and when I was a family photographer, I actually had the privilege of photographing somebody else's birth. So I'd seen 2 births before this one, which some people never get to witness a birth. It's the most amazing thing you'll ever see. But I will say that watching my daughter give birth, and I think I've got a cat hair that's just gone into my eye, watching my daughter give birth was kind of different. I do remember with my mum, I remember my mum was 42 when she had my sister, and I remember walking into the labour room and mum was in the middle of a huge contraction, and she didn't take too much longer to birth after I got there. And I remember just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, she's too old to do this. She's going to die. So I do remember that feeling with my mum, oh my God, she's too old to be in this much pain. 42, it's not even old, is it? But back then, to me, as a 19-year-old, with your mum having another baby, it kind of wasn't. It wasn't really a dumb thing, and not as many women back then seemed to be having women in their babies in their 40s, whereas now it's very common for women to be having babies in their 40s. But that was my feeling with then. When I watched the other birth that I was photographing, I guess there's a different, I was there to do a job, and my focus was this is amazing, but don't miss the shot. So that was that feeling. But when it's your daughter, I don't know, guys, it's so amazing. But watching your own child in so much pain, after being through that pain yourself, I've done that pain 4 times. I've got 4 kids. I've birthed naturally each time. I know that level of pain. And when you see it, it brings it all back. But knowing that your daughter's in that much pain, it's kind of like a different feeling. And there's so many mixed emotions going through it. And then my daughter did need an epidural, and I really struggled to watch that big needle, and I just felt so nervous. The doctor kind of rushed in and he was like, okay, I've got to do this quickly. And I'm like, no, you don't do this quickly. You're putting a needle in her spine. Take your time. That's what was going through my head. Anyway, I ended up there were so many people that had come in for the epidural, and I ended up going out to the little coffee kitchen, and while they put the needle in, because I was quite stressed by that. But then when I came in, after the epidural, my daughter's blood pressure just dropped dramatically, very, very low, and her heart rate skyrocketed. So next minute was kind of get the anaesthetist back up here, and it was all very stress for a little while, and probably took an hour for them to level it all back down and balance everything to get it back going again. But yeah, 6 p.m. the little Hazel was born, and Mum and Bub are doing well, and absolutely amazing. I will say, when I went to bed that night, which was probably around, maybe I got home about 9:30 p.m, I don't think I've ever felt that exhausted. And it was an emotional exhaustion, not physical. I wasn't really doing that much physically all day, but just that emotional level exhaustion of going through all those emotions, watching my daughter in that much pain and then trying to help, and then just it's just extremely emotional. So yeah, but I'm very excited for this new season of my life. Can't wait. I just love little babies. I reckon I could just be one of those people that like holds babies all day, every day, like as a job, somebody who needs help while they sleep, and I'll just hold the baby. Is that a job? So yesterday I wanted to film this video at the warehouse, and it's, you know, those days where nothing goes to plan, nothing. And then you leave at the end of the day and you just feel so deflated and frustrated because you'd gone into the day with like good intentions. I'd set like my day the night prior, so I knew exactly how it was all going to play out. I'd gone to bed with like a plan. This is what I'm doing. Nothing went to plan. Nothing went to plan. So one of those days, this is what you get today. I'm filming from home because after yesterday, I decided I just didn't even want to face going into the warehouse, and I wanted to stay from home and work. And I'm not doing that much work today. I've pretty much had the whole morning doing nothing except talking to ChatGPT. I want to update you on the pop-up shop. I wanted to update you on my granddaughter being born because I'm getting a lot of comments as well saying, are you a grandma yet? I'm actually a granny, just for reference. Some people tell me that granny is the oldest sounding word out of all the grandmas. Grandma, nana, whatever. People tell me that granny is the oldest sounding, and I don't look old enough to be granny, but granny it is for me. I'm very proud to be a granny. Like, it's one of my life goals to make sure I make it to be a granny, and here I am, a granny. So bucket list, tick. Okay, I wanted to update you on the pop-up shop. I get so many comments about this. And sometimes I'm like, there's not really that much to tell. But if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that a couple of months ago, Thom and I set up a little pop-up bookshop at one of the storage unit complexes. And we set that up for a month. It was designed to be a pop-up store, so it wasn't designed to be anything long-term. And it was just a way for us to clear some of our excess stock. The first week that we opened the pop-up shop, we had our largest sales week. Like, that weekend was the busiest weekend, and we made the most money on the first weekend, probably because we did all our advertising via Facebook Marketplace. We advertised on the community pages. We advertised in Facebook buy and sell groups. And I guess because it was new and like, you know, like people were like, oh, like books. And so that week we were our busiest. It also was the weekend of that Australia had to vote for for the political party. So there was a lot of people out that weekend, and just everybody had to go out to vote. So there was a lot more people, I guess, around the town because everybody had to get out. It is a cold time of year, and Goulburn is a cold town. So having the pop-up store in early kind of winter wasn't probably ideal, but heading into winter, I can't think when it was that we opened it, but it was definitely getting cold. And then as the weeks went on, we actually moved from just opening up on the one day a week, which was a Saturday, and we moved to opening up on the Saturday and the Sunday. So we did a couple of weekends where we ran both days of the week, and the Sunday kind of brought in, from memory, similar amount of dollars to the Saturdays. But towards the last, I think it got to maybe like the third week, we had the storage unit booked for a month. So we kind of needed to make a decision on whether or not we kept going with it, or if we like just finished in the next week's time. You know, we had staff there as well. We wanted to make sure we were giving staff enough notice if we wanted them to continue to work for another month for us on the weekends. So I think on the third week, we kind of knew that we would probably cut it after the fourth week, but we kind of talked about it with Sharon, who was running it, our staff member, and Oscar was doing our Sundays. We talked about it with them and we're like, look, maybe we'll keep going with this. Let's just give it one more week and then we'll play it by ear. But if next week we're slower than we are for week 3, or we're on par, then we'll probably just shut it down after this month. And that's what we did. On the last weekend as well, we tried something different with our pricing. So we had been pricing our books at $2 each. Then we had filler bags, I think for $20 a bag, or else you could get 4 filler bags for $50. So we were trying to encourage the 4 bags for $50. I think we also had like a larger one that was like $100 for a certain amount of books. I can't quite remember. But on the last weekend, we actually tried something different, and we did $5 filler bags, like for the weekend, just to try and help clear out some of that stock. Because we were thinking, oh my goodness, if we're going to go after, if this is our last week, we want to clear as much as it's possible. If we decided to continue it on and that pricing structure worked better in the end, we could have continued that on. But we ran it as the $5 filler bags. We probably made similar amount of money. And because it was getting colder and colder as well, we just decided a month was enough to run that pop-up store. And we might possibly run another one in the summer. If we were going to do it again, we would definitely choose warmer months when people are out on the weekends a little bit more. Goulburn is so cold that people tend to just hibernate in their homes. A lot of people have fireplaces, so they just hibernate watching movies around the fireplaces. So next time, definitely we'll do it in the summer if we do it. So we're definitely open to the idea of running another pop-up store, but this one we did for a month. And probably if we did the next one again, I'm not even sure we would go a month. We would possibly do it over an entire week. So we would maybe open every single day for a week, and then that would be it. Now, you're probably wondering what happened to all the stock. So a couple of things. We did the $5 filler bags to help clear out a lot of it. People were taking more books then. We offered the staff, is there anything you want in here before it packs up? You're welcome to take it. I probably filled my carload up with a load of books. There'd been a lot of books that had gone in there that had come from Thom's inventory that I hadn't really even had a chance to look through. So I took a carload back, and then the rest of it we bundled up. There was some of it we put into storage into Thom's warehouse. He's got several warehouses. One of them's just for storing a lot of pallets of stuff. So we've put several pallets back into Thom's warehouse, and there was some inventory that we just very, very no interest whatsoever. There was a little bit that we just kind of had to discard, and then there was some that we also moved on to one of the charity shops. So we feel pretty happy. We moved a lot of the the excess inventory along that we didn't need. We found homes for nearly all of it, and we've set some aside that we think will be good for if we run a summer book sale. So we feel like we did the best thing possible. And I think the town really appreciated it. When we closed it down and we ran our last Facebook ad, we had like a really nice, some really nice messages from the people of the town just saying thank you so much for opening this and offering books to people at the public for cheap prices. Really appreciated it. So we got some really nice feedback from it. We'll say we got some nasty feedback from another reseller, actually a reseller in Queensland, and that caused a bit of a stir. I had the listing up in one of the book fair groups, and somebody from Queensland came on and made some smart comment that because we put on there that resellers were welcome, and she was like, resellers are welcome, but these resellers don't want all this inventory. Who would want to come and get this? It was a really negative comment anyway. We're on there like trying to do something good for people who love books, and we've got some fantastic books in this bookstore, and this person had a real kind of attack at us. And I was like, you know, this person was in Queensland. Like, you hadn't even come and viewed the inventory that you've got. You've just come on here and absolutely roasted us for having a go at trying to clear some inventory that we didn't need and had access to and wanted to save it from landfill. And this person was just like having a go at us. And anyway, Thom was quite furious, actually. Thom will take criticism, but don't just attack us for trying to do something good. So yeah, anyway, but the majority of the feedback was all wonderful, and we did have resellers in there. We had resellers who came back over multiple weeks and were happy with the inventory. So just can't please everyone. Okay, that is the bookstore. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about the pop-up bookstore, Thom and I had hired staff to work in there when we were there because we didn't want to have our weekends spent like tied up doing these books. But even though we had staff in there, that didn't really save us from getting away with not being in there, if that makes sense. Because each weekend we would still go in there, open up the store, set it up, get the signs ready, take them out or whatever we were doing. Thom was putting signs onto the back of his car or onto his car trailer and then going and parking them down on the side of the road. So that was time consuming. Some of the weeks we were in there bringing more and more stock up. In the first couple of weeks, we would keep bringing more stock up as it was moving. During the weeks after it, in between the opening days, we were bringing stock up from the warehouses because we were keeping all the tables really full and we were making sure there was some more inventory in there. So as they were selling stuff, Sharon was able to keep restocking the tables with more books, so it was always full. We kept it full the entire time. So, and then at the end of it, we would go in there and get the cash and do the cash up, you know, it had the FBOS machine and everything. We had to like do everything for it and lock it all up and cover the books up with sheets to make sure nothing got sun damaged because there's big windows all throughout it. We didn't want anything getting damaged. Like, we do take care of our books and we do look after our books. So, yeah, anyway, we didn't really feel like we got the break as such as not being in there. Like, we had the staff, so we didn't have to run it, but we were still back and forth the entire time. So it did still make us feel tied to the bookstore for that entire month, even though we weren't in there like running it as such the whole time. So yeah, I think next time we would just knock it all out over a weekend, like maybe a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or run it for an entire week, have some extra staff in there, and just advertising for that 1 week or that one weekend would be better than trying to ongoingly advertise. Because the problem is as well, when you're relying on Facebook ads and you're relying on Facebook groups to post that you're having a book sale, they don't want you kind of spamming them as well. So even though it's a good thing for the community, you don't want to be like on these notice groups constantly, like, because, you know, like other businesses can't go on there and just spam their business. And we weren't trying to spam the businesses at all. We was trying to spam it as like a pop-up bookshop, not spam it, advertise it. But yeah, it was kind of like some weeks instead of like reposting it, we were just trying to bump up the old ones so it didn't look like we were constantly like bombarding everyone. So I think if you only did that one weekend or like 1 week or something and you've just got heavy advertising into the Facebook groups for that 1 week, it would have been much better than trying to ongoingly bump it up into all these buy and sell groups every single week for like 4 weeks. It was good to try it. It's good to try it. You've got to think of avenues on ways to be able to monetize the discards that you don't want, especially when you buy in bulk. Thom is a bulk buyer. Like, he buys pallets and pallets and pallets all the time. So he is a bulk buyer. He's a bulk seller. There is bulk inventory there that keeps needing to be moved along, and it's got to find ways to be able to monetize it. Okay, now that's out. That took longer than I thought. Sorry, guys. What's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Okay, the other thing's not a real happy thing, I will say. I've injured myself. And I know some of you are probably going to say, I saw this coming. I knew she was going to injure herself. Hold on, I need a coffee. I know that's what people will say. I knew she shouldn't be lifting like this. I don't exactly know how I've injured myself. I didn't do one thing specifically that went, oh, I've pulled that. But what I've done is I've hurt my shoulder, and there's a lot of pain in here. So, and a lot of pain all throughout, a lot of pain in my back. And yeah, I'm just really digging deep, like up in this area here, extremely painful. So I've been to the doctor. The doctor thinks that I probably have tendonitis of the rotator cuff. Is that what it's called? The rotator cuff of the shoulder. Or it could be in my biceps, or it could be both. So we've got to try and figure out what it is exactly. I'm going for an ultrasound scan next week. And on the ultrasound, the doctor has put that if they can see something that it is there, if that's what it is, then he's said that they can give me some cortisone injections as well to help with the pain. So the cortisone will just wait to determine, I guess, once they've done the ultrasound, if that's the way that they're going to pursue it. He's also given me some anti-inflammatories in the meantime. and I don't really know what's caused it. If it is some kind of tendonitis, I guess that's similar in a way as like an RSI from a repetitive strain injury. From my understanding, I might be wrong, but it's similar but not the same. What I think it's come from is from carrying the heavy bags of books. I'm often lifting large IKEA bags full of either books that are packed up waiting for the post or books that come in and out of my car that are from hauls that I've got. And those bags are quite often heavy. And because the right side is my dominant side, I will say when I grab two bags, I always carry the heavier bag on my right side. And so I think sometimes I'm probably uneven in my posture when I'm actually carrying these bags, because this side might be, one side is heavier than the other. The problems that this is causing me is extremely, extremely painful when I'm sleeping. I'm having a lot of difficulty sleeping, and some nights I'm getting literally no sleep. I've had to change the way I sleep, got pillows like resting down my side to keep my arm propped up. Can't sleep on my stomach anymore, sleeping on the side that's this. What I'm struggling with is you don't stay in one position all night. So I can go to bed with the arm like up on like a pillow to balance it up, I guess, and to keep it straight. But I don't stay in that position all night. So whenever I flip around to the other side, that's where the issue is, because then I'm kind of on it and I tend to gravitate trying to go to my stomach, and then I can't get comfortable, and then I'm having to kind of move to lie on my back with another pillow. So I'm sleeping with pillows down the side of me on both sides, so that one side on my side it's up and the other side it's to help me like stay on my back and keep the arm up on this pillow. Very, very painful to put my clothes on and off, my jumpers, and to take my clothes on and off. Very, very painful to reach up to the top shelves to pick books. So having to drag around the ladder a lot more when I'm picking. Painful carrying like the bundles of books, a lot of them. It's just causing me some issues. And some days are worse than others. So last night was good. But yesterday I took an anti-inflammatory around midday, lunchtime. And I did have a pretty good sleep last night. The night before, absolute nightmare. I could just hardly had any sleep all night, and just in constant agony and aching from this shoulder pain. And that just leads to having a bad day. I'm not going to lie, when you are in chronic pain, it leads to being cranky, grumpy, depressed, and miserable, and woe me. Actually, I said to Thom yesterday when I left the warehouse, I said, you and me are a bunch of sorry sacks. We're just both feeling sorry for ourselves, which is something I'll talk to you about, Thom, in a minute. We're both just feeling like a bit like woe us at the moment. We've both got issues. So anyway, yes, I have to be careful now. I have to change the way I'm doing some things. I won't be using the IKEA bags anymore to take my orders up to the loading dock where I take my parcels. I will not be lifting bags nearly as heavy in and out of my car. I'll be using the trolley more often than I do. I often just, it's not that I always forget, it's just quicker and easier to pick the bags up than grab the trolley. But now I have to make sure I'm using the trolley a little bit more. And I possibly might even move to smaller bags. So I might go off the IKEA bags, even though I think they're the best thing since sliced bread. I might have to move to like a smaller bag, just to make sure I don't overfill it with weight when I'm doing hauls. So that's that. So yeah, at this stage, I just don't know. I'll wait and see what the scan says. I might need physio. But yesterday afternoon, I tried to do some listings, and it had been sore all that night before and during the day. And I only got 20 listings done, and then I could start to feel like the pain almost radiating down the arm. So anyway, it's just another setback. And I feel tired that I constantly, whenever I reset and take a bit of a break to rest, like I never feel rested, because I always have to come back, because I never feel restored, if that makes sense. Whenever I take a rest because I'm either burnt out or I need a break or now I've got an injury, instead of taking rest and feeling restored, I feel like I take this rest and then I have to build everything back up, this momentum, and build the store back up, because every time I take a rest, the sales drop and everything drops. And I feel very frustrated with it at the moment and quite down about it. Like, I've had a few weeks here, a couple weeks here, where I've taken some time before the baby was born and put the store into time away, just because I wanted to be closer to home when she had the baby. And by doing that is great. Like, I want to be able to take that time to be with my family, but at the same time, there's that catch-22, because while you take that time off, the sales dramatically drop. And now it's like, just as I want to get back into it, baby's born, there's an issue with my shoulder. And I don't know how long this is going to be going, because if I go back hard at work too soon, this could end up being a much longer recovery process. So it's just very frustrating for me that I feel like whenever I do take a rest, I never actually get to rest to recover, because I feel like I just am taking these rests because I'm so burnt out. But then I come back into this vicious cycle of having to work 3 times as hard to build it back up again just to be able to make enough money. So that is emotionally draining. Okay, let's talk about Thom. Thom's had his own set of problems the last couple of weeks. His staff, just as I took time off before the baby was born, I think the last day I worked, it was a Monday, and then I put my store into time away. And on that Monday, one of his staff members was feeling sick and he had a bit of a cough. And then that next day, he didn't come into work, and I didn't go back to the warehouses, and I'm kind of glad. But he had that next day off, and he hasn't been back at work since. So he ended up having influenza A. The influenza A passed along to all Thom's full-time workers. So there's 4 of them. All 4 of them have been knocked down with the influenza A. So none of them have been back to work yet. One of them came back yesterday, but they've all been off for like 2 weeks, and today is Thursday, and they're not going to be back this week, and we're not even sure if they're going to be back Monday next week. So it's going into like 3 weeks of being sick. So the first few days that it happened, on the first weekend, Thom actually put his store into time away mode, and he was just putting his store into time away mode for 1 day so he could keep on top of the packing, and then when the time away would finish, he'd put it in for another 1 day. And in 20 years of doing eBay, Thom has never put his store into time away. It's been one of the things that he's just not ever wanted to do. He didn't want to do it, and he's got 4 staff members off that he's still paying while they're sick. He can't afford to have his sales drop as dramatically as what they do when your store goes into a time away mode, which is generally, I would say, anywhere from 20 to 50%. It just depends. That's how much your store can drop in sales. And Thom noticed a drop. As soon as he put it into time away, he noticed the drop. So he did it for those first few days while he was just trying to find his feet at doing all the picking and packing on his own. And because I wasn't out at the warehouse because I was waiting for my daughter to have the baby, I wasn't there to help him. So as soon as my daughter had the baby, those next couple of days, I was coming in the mornings to help Thom just do his pick and pack orders, and just him and I were doing this. My store was still in time away, so I didn't have to worry about doing the orders for my store. So I was focusing on helping Thom get the orders out for his store. And yeah, just being now Thom is at the point where he's a bit burnt out because he's been in there for 7 days a week. He hasn't had a day off in the whole couple of weeks. He hasn't had 1 single day off. He's been in there just picking and packing. And as soon as he's finished packing, he's picking again. So it's just a constant day. He's barely been able to get any other work done in his business, barely any listing, nothing. It's just picking, packing, picking, packing, picking, packing. So it's been extremely stressful. And I guess that's the joys of having staff, isn't it? When they, make each other sick. But I do feel so sorry for these guys. They have been, one of them's been hospitalized on a drip. They've been throwing up. They've just been so sick with this influenza A that it's actually quite scary. And You know, thankfully Thom didn't get it. And I thankfully wasn't around the warehouses and not around his people during that time, so I didn't get it. Thom's been feeling a bit, he goes through being angry and frustrated to just down in the dumps and like, I can't believe this has happened. So he's been a little bit of a sorry sack and woe me, and I've been a little bit of a sorry sack with, I've got this terribly painful shoulder that is causing me sleepless nights and grief. And yeah, just some days it's like we're both just these misery sacks. And that is life. Oh, okay. I don't know what else I've got to say. I just thought, yeah, the video I had planned yesterday, it didn't go to plan. And then I'm sitting here just thinking, I've got all these things I should be catching you up on anyway and telling you about. So I'll do that as I sit here today, because after my shoulder being so sore yesterday, I was like, I just can't go in there. And I only have to pack every 2 days. So if I'm giving my shoulder a rest every couple of days from the packing, I think that's what I am best to do at the moment. You know, just really, really be careful of this. So that is it. That is me. That's all I'm going to say for now. I've got some videos planned. I've got some changes I'm going to make in my eBay store. I've been talking to ChatGPT about the way that I work and the way that doesn't always, I guess, my spikes. I've been talking to it about the roller coaster of emotions that I feel about constantly restarting my business and restarting, like even just take a couple of weeks off and then rebuilding, and how draining that is constantly to just watch the sales going really, really high, then drop dramatically, and then have to take a couple of weeks, sometimes a month to just rebuild it back up to the point then when I'm like tired again. So I've been talking to ChatGPT, my best friend, about this vicious circle that I'm in and trying to strategize some ways that I can try and combat this. I'm going to do a bit of experimenting. I don't think next week is going to be the week to do it. I've got a couple of things on next week that are already kind of locked in that I can't get out of, as well as this ultrasound and stuff on my arm. I'll probably start at it the next week and do this experiment, and I will film this experimentation as I do it, because I will be changing up the way that I work, and I think it'll be good video content for you guys. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. But don't worry, guys. I know I'm the most inconsistent YouTuber you've got out there on YouTube. And I go up and down on what type of content that I want to share. But I'm here. I've got lots of content coming for you. Hello, Catty. You coming up here again? You coming to say hello? She's getting old now. She's getting a bit lazy with her jumping. Come here. I think she's about, what did we get her when my daughter was 11 and now she's like 24? So yeah, she's about 13 now. Penny, the Burmese. She is a Burmese, if you're wondering. And she does like to be held like this, but like a baby, don't you? Yeah, you do like to be held like this. Kisses? Kisses for the camera? You look like a Boomba like that. Kisses for the camera? Kisses for the camera? Go on, kiss, kiss, kiss. Bye.